Welcome, everyone. This is so exciting. This is Unwind with Wine. Ladies, Unwind with Wine as we show our glasses. Yes, Unwind with Wine. Vuyanzi coaches chat back for episode 1. I'm so excited to have 2 of my friends here. One of them for sure, if you watch episode 1, you will recognize. And so we first have with us here Tina Wolf of bookwithtina.com. She is an intuitive, she's a reader, massage therapist. Well, we're trying to move away from massage therapy, right? Or we still do it? Okay. She is an intuitive reader, and she has so many giftings and abilities. Please find her on Facebook, Book with Tina and bookwithtina.com, right?
Correct.
Okay. Next, we have Michelle Alcaraz, who is a Love Supreme Vegan Cream. If you are in the Philly area, listen, and let me say this. I said vegan cream. It doesn't mean you have to be a vegan to eat this cream, okay? It's about your health. It is about, empowerment of your body. It is about apparently some stuff that tastes real good too. So don't be thrown off by that. So make sure you look her up. You can find her on Facebook, A Love Supreme Vegan Cream, Michelle Alcaraz. We are here today to have a chat back. So the way I want to start this off is by, Tina, I'm actually going to start with you. And I'm going to ask you, if you were to tweet about, the question I asked you is going to be slightly different from when I talked to Michelle. But if you were to tweet your experience in any aspect, you don't have to think I'm talking about anything. What would this tweet say?
Be authentic.
I love it. Apparently your tweets are much shorter than number 45. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Excellent. I love it.
I mean, that wraps the whole everything, all experience up for me. That at every journey I've ever been in, be authentic. Every time I have not been authentic, the experience has been unpleasant. So that's why it's so short. And people that are familiar with me, I'll say, when they hear me say hashtag be authentic, they already know what I'm talking about. All the mess that you've ever been through in your life, you've gotten through it because you decided to make a choice. Thanks to you, reminding me of that. That I have a choice to be myself and have self-approval of myself. So be authentic says it all.
Okay. And Michelle. Okay. Oh, we'll sip on that. We'll sip to anything, really.
Yes.
So, Michelle, you recently saw this episode. Well, everyone just recently saw it. It just freaking debuted yesterday. But anyway, if you had to just tweet, you saw it. What was your impression in a tweet?
My impression was to be open to the experience, be open, because when you are open, there are so many beautiful things that can happen. And in episode 1, we saw that where Tina had this revelation. She was like, yo, wait a second. Wait, I have choices. Wait a second. There are things. Wow, I didn't realize this goes back there. So it's like you have to be open to every experience. If you're not open, then you're not going to grow because you're holding on to being in these tight, confined spaces, which I think Tina said are meat bags. Is that I forgot what you called it.
Yeah, that meat suit. Yeah.
Meat suits, right. We're confined to these meat suits, right? Where in actuality, if we open ourselves up to experiences, we just grow so much greater. And now with Tina realizing that she has choices, I'm like, oh my God, like I wish this was like a series where I can see, okay, Tina, so what's happening next? I want to see what Tina does with all these choices that she now has, because I see and I know that there's, I'm sorry, this tweet is, my tweet is very long. As you get past the tweet, you said a tweet and I'm giving you a whole dissertation. But, okay, so
it makes up for mine being short.
Yeah, be open. That's my tweet. Be open. We'll finish up some other. So be open.
Okay. No, that is wonderful. And you know what? I have a choice. Take that I have a choice. For you, Michelle, it's going to mean something for you. For me personally, because it's almost like I had to take a step back, right? So I had to watch it. Pardon me. I'm getting all types of messages on my phone. So when I had to take a step back and watch it, and I'm just watching it as Vuyanzi, the civilian, if you will. And it's something very powerful about I have a choice, because recently in my own life, there were some things that seemingly I didn't have a choice about. One of them was, this may sound, listen, I don't care. I'm not going to do any disclaimers. I'm going to say what it is. One of them was this pain that I was having over and over again in my hip. Now, I know we weren't talking about pains, physical pains with Tina, but I decided a few months ago, why am I accepting this as it is? Like, oh, I guess this is just how it is. Over 40, this is what happens. First the hip, then the eyes. But no, I had a choice about that. So when you guys are thinking about that, Tina and Michelle, whoever wants to talk, what do you, in your life, where do you have a choice that maybe before it wasn't always prevalent?
Choosing men.
Yeah. Ooh, we need to sip. We need to sip to that. Come on.
I think life coach Vuyanzi
Talk about that.
almost choked on that one.
Okay, right. I think she did. You okay over there?
They were trying not to laugh. But the reason why I say I felt like I didn't have a choice is because I used to choose men as shallow as I used to be, based off of only physical and sexual attention. Oh, he's cute. Oh, the sex is the bomb. We go together. I know we are not on the same page, but I'm a change you and I'm gonna make it work. So it's gonna work. And I choose you, and you gonna choose me. I don't have no choice, because ain't nobody else gonna give me this meat better than you. So I ain't got no choice but to put up with you, because who else is gonna give me this meat the way you giving me this meat? You make me feel good in person. When you talk to me, when you leave, I want to chase you down and stalk you. And so because I want to chase you down and stalk you, I don't have a choice. I'm just gonna stay here and put up with you.
Wow. I love it. And don't worry, say what you need to say. We'll make sure we have in the beginning of the show that there's some adult content. It's all good. And I love it. You know what?
I just said
I'm just back to that,
talking about pot roast.
No, but you know what? No, I want to say this, Michelle, and then because, we're having a conversation here. And if you talk about the whole man issue and what we have a choice of, there was a time in my life for a different reason I felt like I didn't have a choice as far as men were concerned. Because of how I felt about myself. I had low confidence, low self-esteem, didn't think much about who I was. And so it was kind of like, oh, he thinks I'm cute. Oh, it doesn't matter that he has no home, no teeth. I'll take it. Enough about that. Michelle, what are your choices? Where do you have a choice that maybe you didn't see before?
Well, I have to say, so I actually do feel that men thing as well. Like, there was a time where I was just like, this is who I have. So I'm just got to make this work. And I remember, I was in a marriage for longer than I should have been, because I felt like that was the only choice I had. I did not want to, drink up for that one. I did not want to disappoint. So it's so funny with Tina, because you were talking about disappointment. I did not want to disappoint people by saying, I'm out of this. So I stayed in it because I felt like I had no choice, because, again, Tina, talking about expectations, I felt like I had to live up to people's expectations. And therefore, I didn't have choices, at least in my mind, until I finally said, forget this. I'm about to do this. Let me just take care of my business, because this is not working for me. I can't move forward with what I need to do in my life, and in this particular space. But there are other things that is so funny, like that. That I remember there were times where I felt like I didn't have choices. For instance, even with when you think about growth, professional growth, right? It's like, I'll do whatever I can do, but it's like, how much growth is there? Are people, I feel like I was being overlooked oftentimes. There were choices that I felt like I wasn't empowered to make choices. Like I would do what I need to do, but it was out of my hands. I oftentimes felt like. So yeah, there are so many points in life where it's just like, okay, do I really have a choice? Like what are my choices and how do I now make them work for me? So yeah.
So I heard two things. I want to, let's hone in on these two things. You talked about the mind and you talked about growth. And Tina, I'm thinking about the very first thing that really the call started off with. And that was fear of success. And I think about fear, which I can guarantee, there's going to be other places and other coachings that fear is going to come up in this show, but fear of success. So I think about growth and I think about our minds. Can we just shift gears for a minute and talk about how our minds can freaking limit us? Like, what are your thoughts about that? How your mind can create a limitation? Tina, what is your thought about that?
I didn't realize that I had limits on my brain until I attended a Avatar program, which was an amazing program. And it made me delve deep into myself. That's where the whole affirmation thing came out for me, and helping me to realize I have choices. That's why in the video I was like, I decide. I got that from that program. Like, I decide. The first time I said I decide, and they like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel good. I feel like I decide. They're like, oh, okay. Say it again. How do you feel? And the more I said it, I started like, wait a minute. I do decide. And then it finally clicked, just like it did when we were going through the I have a choice. That I decide, it was the same experience, except it was so deep. Like, I've gotten faster. You see how quick my recovery time was on that I have a choice? No, baby, that I decide was about 2 hours long. Okay, that show wouldn't have been long enough. and so, the mind, once I released that, it seemed like every time I am honest with myself and allowed myself in that program to release that emotion, it made room for more things to come in. It's almost like, okay, you check this library. You've been holding on to this old library book for a long time. So you know what? Let's send that back to the library and I'm gonna give you this brand new book of knowledge. And then that's when I would be like, oh, so if somebody else doesn't know how to decide, now I know how to help them to decide if they're open to it like I am. And then I started to remove the other things, like I have a choice. And I started teaching people about choice. And then I started saying, oh, I can do this. And so I started, as soon as it got faster, just like you saw in the video, now it's faster. I'm like, okay, now I know what to do to fix it. Whereas before I wasn't feeling that empowerment. Like you said, I wasn't feeling that empowerment, that ability to decide, being honest with yourself. Oh my God, just I'd rather drink this bottle I got over here than to.
Okay. Well, take a sip on that. Michelle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, it's interesting when we think about the stories that our minds tell us, right? That there are two me's, to be honest. There is me who shows up and, seems secure and everything. There's the me that's in my head telling me, wait a second, girl, are you ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for this. You better think about this. You want to step back? And so, Tina, your story resonated so much with me because that fear, that procrastination, because again, as you stated, that fear that procrastination stems from the fear, right? Am I ready for this? And that other person in your head tells you, maybe you should wait. Let's figure out if you have what it takes to do what you need to do. Knowing full well that you feel in your heart that you are ready. But then it's you have to defeat what's going on here, because oftentimes we listen to that voice. It tells us stories that are not true. It tells us stories because it feeds off of that fear. And so we have to figure out, okay, listen, it's time for you to move away because I need to, not allow you to take over my life, because if you do, I'm stagnant. I'm standing in one place and I'll never move. And I'll be like, man, I wish I should have, right? And life is too short to be like, I wish I should have. Life is now like, okay, let me do this because this is what I feel I need to do. Forget all the other stuff. So yeah, for real, the fear, the stories, the voices in your head, they live and they strive off of fear. And so it's like, you have to move that aside and say, okay, let me, and it's hard. It's not an easy feat. It's not an easy thing to do. Right.
Well, the thing is, right. And we're talking about the stories that limit just us. Mm-hmm. Think about the stories. I love the way you said the stories that we tell ourselves. I don't know. Is anyone here familiar with Brene Brown? Mm-hmm. And so there's this author. I did not read her book, but I watched the video. So there was a Netflix on Brene Brown, and she does a lot with leadership and vulnerability. Okay, let me tell you this story that she said in was it the TED Talk or was it the Netflix? Listen to this. Her and her husband, her family, they went out camping, and I may be getting details of the story wrong, but the crux of the story is going to be the truth. I swear to you. So okay. they decide they're going to swim in a lake. Her and her husband. Because they were strong swimmers. Now don't ask me to swim in the lake, okay? Because
I'm not going to
somebody going to
stuff I can't see.
Stuff
under the water wiping. No.
So her and her husband, they decide they're going to swim. So it's funny because like either, I can't remember if it was going across or coming back. She said she's feeling this feeling like, oh, me and my husband, we're here in the lake. And so she says something to her husband like, honey, like, oh, isn't this so beautiful? And he says, yeah, what is great? And he keeps going. And she's like, oh, no. Mm-mm. Honey, oh my gosh, like, it's so nice. He says, yep, what is great? And he keeps going. She was pissed. Why is it that she's feeling this overwhelming sense of love and she's with him? And all he can respond with was, the water's great. Well, guess what? When they finally, I don't know if it was an argument that came out, the man was damn near a panic attack going across the lake. And all he could come up with was, water's great, hon. And it was like, so she told herself a story about what her husband was thinking. So how do I reflect that back here? We were just talking about the stories we tell ourselves within ourselves that create boundaries. What kind of stories do we have based upon what we believe are the actions of other people, but it's not even the truth? And seeing her talk about this made me start to say, I have to be more honest. And this is what I say about being honest. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this. When I say I have to be more honest, I'm not saying, oh, I go around lying. What I'm saying is how many times you gave that dude your number. Okay. You're like, this bleep, didn't call, right? Meanwhile, somebody died in his family. Like
exactly.
Somebody died.
Yeah.
It's not that he just doesn't, right. It's not that he doesn't give an F about you, but someone just died and he's grieving. So me and my, I really don't do it that way, but it felt good just now. But me and my, is not even true. So how much of our storytelling is impacting our relationships, or how has it impacted our relationships? What are you both thinking as I'm talking about this?
Yeah, I'm going to start by just saying, I think they impact our relationships a lot unless we take control of them. Because again, we live with those stories and they tell us, oh, wait, he doesn't think I'm good enough for him. Wait a second. He doesn't think I'm good enough. Well, he's not good enough for me. And next thing you know, when he actually calls to tell you, yo, I lost somebody in my family, we have an attitude about it. So we have this wall built up between ourselves and that person that is impenetrable. It's like we can't even break it down. But it's like, no, you should have called me. You could have texted me and told me that. You know what I mean? Like there's all these things, these stories that we say that makes us feel like we're not good enough. And that becomes then the story that we hold on to unless we become honest with ourselves. And that takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage. a lot of moving away from that fear, right? It takes a lot of believing in ourselves to say, I'm just not going to pay attention to these stories. I'm going to sit here and meditate. I'm going to breathe and allow for whatever happens to come. Because, one thing that's hard for us to do is just to move with life, right? We always try to control things. We always want to know exactly what's going on. And in actuality, we don't have control over everything. It's like, we just have to kind of go, all right, cool. He hasn't called me over. I'm going to, do what I need to do. I'm going to just keep flowing with life. And if he calls, great. If not, oh, well, but, I'm going to listen, So, yeah, I mean, a lot of our lives, I have to say, and a lot of our relationships, perhaps, not even just with men, but even, coworkers or with me, sometimes with girlfriends, you know what I mean? Like, I have good girlfriends. I'm like, yo, seriously, we were supposed to go out tonight. Like, we were supposed to all meet up and go out as a group of girlfriends, and you didn't show up, you know what I mean? And so we need to just be patient and, again, flow with life and not allow those stories to, again, continue to control us.
Tina. So I'm like, okay, I want to say 50 minutes worth of stuff, so I'm gonna jam it into these 2 seconds. Like, that's my brain. Welcome to Tina's world. Okay, so I'm listening to your story, and the first thing that popped in my mind was there's a wonderful book. It's on YouTube. It's about an hour and a half long. It's called The Magical Way of Changing Your Thinking. And as soon as it comes on, the script says, he says, Pinky. He's like, what are we going to do today? And he's like, we're going to take over the world. It's the very first thing that comes on. And I used to hate that freaking cartoon, but that was the first thing that would come on, and you can't help it because you end up going, you know what are we gonna do? We're gonna take over the world. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's what you want to do. And then right after this plays, he gives this scenario, this story about a baby elephant. And so the story goes that there's a baby elephant. He has a chain wrapped around his leg, and there's a stake, boop, inside of there. And with that stake sitting inside there with that chain around his leg, at first he's a little baby, and he's like, he's trying to pull his leg. He can't get out. He can't get out. And then so he gets a little bit bigger, and he's pulling his stake. He can't get out. So after years of this, trying and not having success, he turns into this big old 2-ton, 3-ton, big old beautiful elephant. He still got this little bitty chain with this little bitty old stake in the ground. But at this point, he doesn't even realize that he's strong, and all he has to do is just whip that leg, and that thing gonna go flying. He is limited in his mind. And it starts from childhood for me with the indoctrinations that are taken on by the adults that we're surrounded around, and they teach us their limits. It's up to us to realize at some point that we're strong enough to move that leg. We don't have to hold on to these indoctrinated beliefs. That was the greatest gift I got from that program. I do not have to hold on to those indoctrinated beliefs. I can let them go, and I am strong enough. Yeah. I am courageous enough. I am brilliant enough, and I am masterful enough to make my own decisions because I decided and I have a choice. So when it comes to family, friends, co-workers, and romantic mates, I have to erase everything that I have learned and create brand new from scratch. But I can't do that if I'm stuck in old beliefs and indoctrinations. Hallelujah. Time to move on and unlimit ourselves.
Exactly. Move on. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen, let me ask you both here. But how do we make a fresh start, right? Tina, I hear you saying, moving away from, and so many times I'm thinking about most women that I work with are like over 40. Tina, I don't know if you've reached this area yet, but
48.
Oh,
wow.
I'm gonna drink to that.
That's good life. Listen, that's good life right there. That's good living.
I'm just gonna lick the cup because I finished my drink.
Oh gosh, I love it. So here's a question, right? So all of us are in our 40s. You talked about moving away from the thing we've been indoctrinated. The reality is, even though we may be in our 40s, so many women watching this are still operating with that chain on their leg, right? They don't even realize that there is more, and it's based upon what has been in us, right? Listen, this is not a blame game of our parents. Our parents, right? Probably all of us may be doing slightly better than our parents, really. But how do we do a fresh start? What does a fresh start look like at this stage of the game? Floor is yours. Tina, go ahead.
So, okay, we all can only teach from our own experiences. So therefore, yes, our parents, our family, our friends, our romantic mates, everybody that comes into our circle, they're only doing what's based off their experience. What I have found for me, a way to release, like which indoctrinated belief do you release? I'll use a common one. Let's go with sex, okay? Growing up, I was taught monogamous, and as a young woman, you don't have sex until you get married. And then once you're married, the only person you have sex with is that one man for the rest of your life. Good God help you. If it's horrible, you there. If it's good, you there. Like it is what it is. So anytime I did kind of sort of save myself for marriage, because I had sex with my first husband. We ended up getting married. So technically, but when I divorced, I still had the desire to have sex. And so still having that desire to have sex, I would have sex, but I wouldn't tell anybody. I was ashamed, and I began to feel guilty. And I started to punish myself because I know I'm not supposed to have sex unless I'm married. And so I punished myself. Then I had to come to the realization at the very young age of 23, why do I have to punish myself? Sex feels good to me. And you know what? I'm not connected to this dude. I don't like him. I just want the pot roast. I just want the pot roast. So give me the pot roast. And then what you about to do? Because I'm fist to go. And, I know that's not the proper way to do things. But once I accepted that I don't have to punish myself for enjoying sex with a man that I am not in love with, oh my God, I can breathe. I feel so much better. Mm-hmm. And I know there's all these stigmas that went along with it, but I won't get into that. But I say that to say this: when I release that feeling of guilt, that it's okay to fornicate, okay, and get my pot roast, whether I love the pot roast or I don't love the pot roast, it's okay. And I felt good about it. And I started to tell my friends, y'all don't have to love the pot roast. You could just like the pot roast. And so it changed. And I said, stop feeling bad about the pot roast. Released. Now I don't feel guilty. You know what I'm saying? Before I would punish myself, I would hide. And that does something to you internally. I would stop eating. I would lose my appetite. Sorry about that. I would stop eating and lose my appetite. Why? I'm punishing myself for somebody else's belief. If they want to believe it's okay to be married, monogamous, and be celibate, and let them have it, because they're happy that way. I wasn't happy. So if it's something not making you happy, that means it's time for a fresh start in your life. I'm going to lick my cup again because I don't.
Michelle.
I'm a bigger cup next time.
I know. You see, I fill mine up to the brim. So I'm going to actually start off by saying I like pot roast.
Oh.
I'm vegan and I love pot roast. So
yeah. We love the pot roast. We love
pot roast.
You guys are vegan.
So yeah. So anyway, but yeah, Tina, you are definitely to me, it again resonates with me because we are holding on to so many things that other people have put on us, right? We think about our parents and we think about why they've done it. They've done it to protect us. Like they grew up in a different time. And so they're doing the best that they can. And they're just protecting us, make sure that we know what to expect. And so they give us all these things. They pack us up, right? And so next thing you know, we're like hunched over because we had this big old bag. Like we listen to what's her name? Oh my God, her face is in my head. Oh, and she's one of my Erykah Badu's bag lady. Like seriously, we are bag people. We need to start unpacking those bags and think about, wait, whose stuff is this? Hold on a second. Get your stuff, and wait, you get your stuff, and you take your stuff, and let me just, now I have a small little clutch purse because this is all my stuff. Like my stuff is very minimal, you know what I mean? So there you go, exactly, right? So we need to unpack those bags that we've been carrying around so much, give everybody their stuff back. Or if they don't want it, I'm just gonna dispose of it because it's not necessary. I don't need it. Thank you though. I appreciate you gifting me with that because I know you were just trying to protect me, making sure I had everything that I needed. But I'm in a good space. Thank you for that. And just moving past that, because we carry around these bags every single day and they do not serve us. And we need to recognize, we need to be mindful enough to pay attention to those things that serve us and those things that weigh us down. Because if they weigh us down, it's like, wait a second, I actually don't weigh this much. Let me get this bag off my shoulder. Okay, cool. It's like we go to the doctor. We always take off everything. I'm going to take my shoes. You mind if I get my weight measured in my panties? You take off everything because you don't want anything to weigh more. So we need to think about that in our own lives, right? Like get rid of all that extra baggage that we carry around. And that creates this fear, and recognize that, that was great when I was 5 because it protected me. But now as, again, time has evolved, I have grown, I have, experienced different things. This now is no longer necessary for me to carry around. I don't need this tool in my bag any longer. We need to be able to discern that, to make that decision, and then to allow it to just, move it forward. Like, pass it on or put it where it needs to be, which is not in your bag.
Wow. I love what I'm hearing. We're getting ready to wrap this puppy up. I want to say this, and I want you guys to think about this. So many things are coming to my mind. We could really carry on this conversation for another couple of hours. I'm going to shift it a little bit for the ending. Michelle is a health coach as well. Tina's a healer. And that's why actually it was such a pleasure, Tina, to be able to work with you. Because a lot of times when we're in the position of healers, right, it's, we could be like, well, I am the healer. I don't need anything, And I want to say this, and I'd love for both of you to talk from the standpoint of this. This, I swear to you, this just happened right before I got on the call. I reached out to someone who had wanted coaching from me before, and she's just, apparently things are starting to go well for her. So she's like, oh, I said, oh, she's like this, and that. And I said, oh, okay. So are you saying I was confused. So are you saying you want to sign up? These things are going well for you. Do you want to sign up and have some coaching as you're continuing? And she says to me, oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. But thanks anyway. And I'm thinking about that thanks anyway, how many, we're all, I guess we'd be in the category of the social construct of Black, okay? And I'm using it that way because it is a social construct, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds on that. But what I want to say is, can both of you in a tweet talk to the queens who may be saying, oh, that's good, but I'm good. I don't really need healing. I don't really need coaching. I'm good. So let's say the woman said to me, I'm losing weight. I'm, getting more disciplined about this. I thought that was amazing. And to me, I'm like, ooh, if you're on this path, let's get it. Like, let me link up with you. Let me help you, let me stand by your side as you're going the distance in this. But she said, I'm good. Can you both speak to, in a tweet, and this is the final word, to the I'm goods out there? if you will.
Michelle, I want you to go first.
Now, my tweets are pretty long, so I'm gonna
try not to be like 45, Michelle.
I'm trying because I have.
I'm trying to cram it like Michelle. I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's like, okay, let me cram this. You know what? We may find a really good wave at a particular point, but then what happens when the waters get too much for us to handle? Do you have the correct tools? That's really what we need as times move forward, right? We need to have the tools that we need, right? So again, you're on a great wave for now, but are you able, can you stand the rain when it comes? Have me start singing. Can you stand the rain? Right? That is really exactly right. That is really the question that everyone needs to ask themselves. Not only can you stand the rain, but can you stand the storms? Storms may come. Everybody. Oh my God, we can listen to that song now. But we have to begin to think about that, right? We're good right now. You know, when the first day we make a great, delicious meal, it's good that first day, and maybe even good the second day, third day, fourth day. But then we come back to it 10 days later, it's like, oh, that meal is no longer as tasty. Can you stand it? Like, how are you going to digest that? Do you have the tools to deal with it? So that is my long tweet. Can you stand the rain?
Hey, I'm not the only one that sings when I do my
storms may come.
I know.
Yes, Johnny. Go ahead, Johnny Gill. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna be #petty for one moment. Shout out to the I'm Goods, pay me double when you circle back around. That's my petty quote for the moment. Now, on to good Tina, because there's two Tinas. There's petty Tina and there's good Tina. That's petty Tina's quote. I said what I said, and hashtag unapologetic. Okay. That's petty Tina. So, positive, loving, compassionate Namaste Tina is going to say to you, I once had a client who was with me for a period of time, and he felt like he got all the knowledge that, he could get. And he was like, I'm good. I'm good. I was calling. I was checking up. He wasn't answering the phone. He wasn't returning calls. And, if he did, it was something like, hey, what's up? Nah, I'm good, Ma. All right. Yeah. And then, I said, you know what? Blaka. Okay. And then about 6 months later, guess who circled back around? And guess whose price was double? Because now you was like, oh, well, see, I did, it was kind of sort of like a trade school. See, you go through the program, and I took first semester and I thought I was done. And then I got out there and realized I should have stayed for second semester. So I'm back. Please, I'm back. I said, oh yeah, you gonna be back, but you owe some fees, so get your meat suit ready. Okay, we about to learn. So I say that to all you I'm good people. Maintenance is important. Maintenance is important. If you feel like you're good, that's fine. Still touch bases with your healer, with your coach, with your person once a month, even if it's for 10 minutes. Hey, yes, everything is still going great. No, Tina's not procrastinating no more. Tina has published her book. Tina is exercising, but you know what? There's just one nugget. Well, let's get that one nugget so that pebble doesn't turn into the mountain, okay? Because I don't want you bringing me the mountain, because I'm going to have to charge you what when you circle back around?
Double.
Okay. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste all day.
And lick the cup on that. I ain't
gonna... So I want to say thank you to both of you. Oh my gosh. freaking fun. You guys have set the bar high for all of these chat backs. So I don't know what's going to happen next week, but I'll tell you this. I thank you both. Tina, I specifically want to say thank you to you so much for just being your authentic self and being vulnerable in this space, because I believe even as a healer, your session spoke volumes. We're getting as many people as we can to watch this, because I do believe that people need to know that they have a choice. Michelle, thank you so much. Don't forget bookwithtina.com, and don't forget A Love Supreme Vegan Cream in Philadelphia, Philly, the city of brotherly love. Look for her. Look for these pages. And to both of you, I say thank you to both of you. Mwah, mwah. I appreciate both of you. Love you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Michelle, when you were saying that one part like about the bag lady, you was like, if you get your stuff, it reminded me of that Waiting to Exhale machine scene by
I hope to be not over 30 minutes or so. And any questions, ladies?
No, but I just want to say, Tina, thank you so much for being so vulnerable on your session. You know, I watched it late last night, and I meant to watch it again today, and unfortunately my day just did not pan out the way I expected to. But I mean, when I tell you, I was just like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Like what you do and who you are, and just your vulnerability.
This thought.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry. I just had to say that before because I just wanted to say thank you, Tina. But I guess we can do this. Okay, I'll go back and do all that again during the show.
I'm in this call. Take care, both of you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. And that's it. That's a wrap. Okay, thank you.